Hello everyone and welcome back to the Crew 2 in part 82. Here we are arriving in Chicago for the final race of the USB Tour City is about to go entered on number 8. After 7 races we're starting out to be at New York City, Las Vegas, Seattle, San Francisco, Miami, Los Angeles, and Washington DC has now come together by having a series of touring car only by having a normal and endurance. This will have to go down for having a one last final event to be on the Pavilion session to be located in Chicago, to have some district to be located on Streeterville, Magnificent Mile, New North, and other places is about to go for the track layout to have a highlight to be placed around on the Gold Coast. This will have to take a lot of effort out there after doing some major practices as main participation in the Live Summit event. But it'll have to go down to have 2 touring cars for this segment as I'm about to be choosing with Team Chevrolet will be have to be using with the Camaro SS GT3 or the Corvette C6R or CAR is going to have to take the best opportunity of choice. But it'll have to go down to have the normal and endurance that will have to give it everything what we got. So up I go. Travel to Chicago is about to be set and ready to roll to be entered to have the Pavilion will have to be open up the gate. Gonna have to be switching up and have the interior view to be chose and use it on the Camaro SS GT3 race car 2010. UDRS Inspirtech will have to give everything to be planned and go all in. Let's go. Here we go folks, let's start the countdown in about 3, 2, 1, and we're off.
Here we are today in the Windy City on the southwest bank of Lake Michigan on an absolutely gorgeous race day afternoon. Many thanks to the mayor of Chicago for agreeing to host us today. And best of luck to our drivers as they kick off this last race of the USST season.
Okay, everything is going on a head start. I got a good lead and go proceed on the number of turns as I'm about to be proceed on number 4. Checkpoint clear. Now gonna have to go swoop in on turn number 5 to be entered to be taking a small jump. Right turn on turn number 6 to be using onto the left side of the track. But the track itself is about to get much more interesting to go for having a wider, medium, or shorter is gonna be a bit more tricky that we have to prepare ourselves. Just find a good line and do everything while we can as we're about to stay focused in the lead. But it turns out every race always has to take a lot of technical challenges to see this will have to go by tricky to go by full advance. I'm always into it and it's all about racing to go for the higher level to see some obstacles that we have to go overcome. So here comes the next sector. Proceed onto the left turn and here comes the shorter one is going to be a bit more tightened up on the gap. That's more like it. Now gonna stay on the defense and go proceed on turn number 15 at the final turn. That should do well. Full speed ahead and go finishing up on lap number 1 to be entered at lap number 2. Gonna have to go up into high gear and here it comes.
Coming up full throttle on turn 1 now and the site of the famous 1893 Chicago World's Fair.
Okay, still good and still proceed on the first position. It's all about the speed to have some different precision to go quicker on the wider edges to be on the first sector. But be on the lookout whenever it comes in to have the medium session is going to be a bit more different out there rather than taking the hard one on the shorter length. It depends that the track layout on Chicago is all about to have the skills we'll put it to the test. While I'm always learning about the racetrack is going to be a bit more advanced and well tested to see some different touring cars on other car classes like GT3, GT2, and GT1. Or other kinds of individual car classes from the past and present is also to be well tested to see how fast they're going to go. So checkpoint clear. Going right back onto the short straightaway session is going to get a little bit lined up on the gondola. Alright, there you go. Checkpoint clear. Back onto the final turn on number 15. Stay on it and go full straight. Okay, final lap. This is it. Just have to go by turn 1 through turn number 3 to keep it good, simple on the recommendation on that track course layout is very good to be interesting. Once every part of the sector goes a bit more wider and go for a little bit medium, and then the tighter it will have to get a shorter out there to have a lineup for only one race car at a time. Size does matter, and we always have to keep shape up and keep practice well, as we're about to have some 2 additions by the normal and endurance along with the live summit event that we are about to be looking forward to. So good thing no nitro allowed at this time. I'm always well prepared to do the right moment. Hold it together and have one more time on the chicane. That's the ticket. Now, stay defense and station on 9.4 seconds. Got to hold it together and go on a less brake, safer, and inside the apex.
Looks like we're coming in pretty fast towards a hairpin turn just up ahead.
Alright, this is it. Gonna have to go to the final stretch and proceed on turn 16 at the podium on the finish line.
And that brings us to the end of this last race of the U.S. Speed Tour. What an amazing series of races this has been for our drivers and for everyone watching at home. We'll be back in a few months with something new and very special. So keep your eye on Motorflix, and I'll see you soon.
Alright, there we go, and that's race number 8 on the standard has now been checked and done. But it's not over yet, as I still got one more race car to go to be selected by having a best chosen of the roster to be on endurance. But I know the best place to go anywhere without fast travel is all about to have the best race car of all time since the last video when I was racing at Washington DC. But if possible, if I had to go decide between a Chevy Corvette C6R or CAR, but it's all about the having a best model version of racing category for each Corvette. So I'll have to stop right here and go to Endurance Edition. This will have to do one more best choice of the touring car, as I had to go with Chevy this time. Got to choose for the next vehicle and grab on filters to be recommendable to be on brand. Alright, for the best opportunity is I have to go for the 2005 Corvette C6R with the UDRS Inspirtec, as I just recently purchased for the first day as a touring car racer from Pro Racing Headquarters. Or the Corvette CAR 2020 is very good to be having a mid-engine race car to have a good carry out, to have a most fine GT race car of all time after being successful from the 7th generation Corvette. But I don't know, folks. Maybe this is very good to be well chosen to have the same Corvette with different generation of each model to have the same per level on 320. But my answer is, I'll have to decide and go for the CAR 2020 with the UDRS Inspirtec livery. Will have to be on the grand finale after I just did a job well done and successful from Washington DC. So here we go, folks. One more race and one more endurance. This will have to go now or never. We'll have to be on the countdown until on the green.
Here we are today in the Windy City on the southwest bank of Lake Michigan on an absolutely gorgeous race day afternoon. Many thanks to the mayor of Chicago for agreeing to host us today. And best of luck to our drivers as they kick off this last race of the USST season.
Alright, this is no longer afternoon. It's about to go for having a late evening to be on the time condition. I'll have to give it all I got and just keep up the good racing work to be stay in first position without having mistakes like avoid contact on other cars and contact by the barriers. So I had to be proceed with exercise caution, just had to go and keep it more precisely to have either a strategy to go outside and inside of the track. I really hope if I had to do my best effort out there, this one is going to be finishing up to be on the endurance edition of the USB Tour Cities at Chicago. Got to keep going and have the right turn to go inside nearly towards the apex as the checkpoint go clear and proceed. Got to slow down and gets a little bit shorter. Okay, very good. Now, final turn on the right at number 15. Stay work together and keep on racing to stay clean will be achieved to success. First lap down, entered lap number 2.
Coming up full throttle on turn 1 now, and the site of the famous 1893 Chicago World's Fair.
Alright, very good freestyle driving handling to be on the first turn. Now, despite of the corner of strategy to be well chosen up to be well guessed, but the track itself is also to be practical to have 16 turns on Chicago. But very yet to be indeed to be specifically and well chosen up to be droppable to have some differences onto the larger width of the track, the medium shorter is all about the combination of the main obstacles for every touring car racers in Endurance Edition. But don't make any further mistake, it's all about having a best effort and keep up the good racing work to have a lot of more practice as we're about to be prior to do some participation in every live summit event if you're about to go on touring car only. But look at this, I just really took a gap distance on 11.2 seconds on the last update. Alright, just have to go shorter up for the second time. Changing up on gear 3, back down on gear 2. Alright, very cool and brilliant. But almost forgot one thing, to have the GPS will be expanded to be on the lookout on each checkpoint. Now that's a good line check. 14.7 seconds update. But I can't wait to go to Motorplex Island after this. It's going to be a very good Alpha Grand Prix race edition to be on part 83, will be coming up soon. But it'll have to take one Pavilion and 5 events to come in with some 2 editions will have to be well contained. But this will have to take a lot of progress of racing to have some track layouts when you're visiting on Motorplex Island. But the USST next is about to be coming up soon after having some very best moments out there to share your thoughts and memories about the USB Tour Cities. The most wonderful urban street racing motorsports in every history of America. So looks like the progression is now being stopped by 39%. Time to slow down and go back onto the short length of the track. Smoothed up on the bus S. Alright, now for the final turn, going in. "20 seconds behind with the other racers. Looks like I am on the roll." Okay, very good and outstanding to keep up for only a one single mid-engine Corvette. it's all about to have some potential of a racing of a spirit ever since to be debuted on IMSA and FIA World Endurance Championship. But the Corvette CAR is the first stage of the racing competition, is all about to have the skills of endurance. As of right now, just have to keep going on to have the halfway point of the position to be stopped at 50%. But this race is going to take place on 7 laps to go all in to be around by Chicago, so better make sure to count 1 lap at a time. So it's up to 52% in the progression. Keep climbing and deal with the streets. Alright, that's the ticket. Now stay on gear 3, going down on gear 2.
Like we're coming in pretty fast towards a hairpin turn just up ahead.
Alright, so that's 27.515 seconds. Got the go, 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 and next lap on the way. Alright, let's ship it down to gear 4. Turn 1 through 3 is on the way. 28.51 seconds, update on the gap. Now it's on turn number 4 to go smooth up the line and nail at the apex.
Narrow turn coming up after the bridge here. The river underneath is the Chicago River, of course. A beautiful color, even on a normal day. But most famous for being dyed bright green every St. Patrick's Day for 60 years and counting.
And I just really love to keep it on and on to have the streets of Chicago, to have the pedestrians on the parking lot is good color in green. So it's at 65% in the progression. Got to go on the bus stop chicane for another round. But by the way, viewers, the green spot is also to be using for bicycle only. That's a good guess and very good right on the answer. Okay, it's about to get a little bit foggy out there. Gonna make sure if I had to turn the headlights on, and here comes the rain. Okay, next lap underway, and gonna be very careful. The streets are about to get slippery, so I have to keep a good motion on the grip. Checkpoint clear. Wow, 35 seconds away from the other racers is going to be a long way to be racing on normal difficulty. But in the meantime, as I had to go participate again on hard and ace difficulty, this will be doing a lot of more hard racing challenge. It's going to have to take more skills. We'll have to put it into the next skill of a level.
Into a long straightaway now with the famous Chicago Tower in the distance. Once upon a time, the tallest building in the world, and still the most recognizable building in the city's skyline.
Most other buildings in Chicago, including the famous landmark, the John Hancock. Good thing I just still remembered and recognized when I was playing SimCity 4 back then, but that is most fabulous to see. Some high-rise buildings in Chicago is very iconic and popular in the Midwest region. So it turns out it's going to have to take some few other paces and patience to be deal with the wet surface when the rain comes in. But it'll have to be a longer turns to be a procedure to be in the right turn on number 15 to go faster and quicker to be having a stepping stone on turn 16. But this is it, you guys. Lap number 8 is coming in onto the final lap. Let's get in there and bring it home. Alright, checkpoint, go proceed, and almost there at 40 seconds, still at 39 seconds for the decimal of 0.4. Slowing down to 9% to go, progression is still well remain.
And back over the river again. Little known fact, that bright green color on St. Patrick's Day is created using an orange dye that turns the water green on contact. If you're ever in the area on March 17th, it's well worth a trip to the riverbank.
Okay, one more bus stop chicane to go, and few other turns. We'll have to do the rest by having a wider turn on the lane, gets a little bit medium, and then shorter on the patient. Here it comes. Just have to stay down the fort and hold it in. Going up on gear number 3 to back down on gear 2. Alright, this is it. One more checkpoint, and let's give it all I got.
And that brings us to the end of this last race of the U.S. Speed Tour. What an amazing series of races this has been for our drivers and for everyone watching at home. We'll be back in a few months with something new and very special. So keep your eye on Motorflix, and I'll see you soon.
I did it, you guys. Race number 8 of US Speed Tour Cities at Chicago by Normal and Endurance has now finally complete. Now that's a good urban racing competition as ever to be achieved and done. Yeah, I am so good to be back in for having a best racing on the urban city course is very much more exactly to be shared on the actual motorsport racing circuit. But here on the live map is quite good to be highlighted to have some 4 districts to be located around on Streeterville, Magnificent Mile, New North, and the Gold Coast of Chicago has now come together to have this most beautiful, magnificent track layout is quite very good to be placed around here in the Golden State. But especially to have a good highlighted place in the landmark on the John Hancock Tower, but beautiful and good sightseeing to have a landmark is very perfectly to be well seen around on the racing course to be on endurance. So looks like USST Cities is now being finishing up and over, and I'll have to come back again soon when participate in hard and ace difficulty. But after all, I'll have to take a good look and see the stats on pro racing by the outcome. Let's have a good check on activities, and 98% on touring car event is quite good, climbing up, and just have one more event to go to be highlighted to have a good guess on flashback. But this has had to take the next one. We had to go to Motorplex Arena to have some 5 races by having 2 standards on the USB Tour next. But it'll have to go down by having a preview to see some few other events we'll have to take on in USST next. As I had to choose and go entered on race number 1 in Future of Speed, followed by in race number 2, Vertigo, Into the Deep on race number 3, The Great Equalizer in race number 4, and the finale in race number 5, Fire Sky. Okay, now I have all 4 proto concept represent from motorsport teams like Pulse Performance, Spirit Racing, Sparrow Competition, and Globe Motorsport. And especially the SM71 Spearmeister concept is now being additionally to be adding up as well. So good thing if I had to choose for only one of the 5 proto concept cars will have to go participate in the USST next. It's all about decision by choice to go participate to have 5 races and track layout to be located around on Motorplex Arena. So I had to be ready, and I'll have to be sure to go start out on race number 1 in Future of Speed by Normal and Endurance. I'll have to wrap this up before at the end of the video, folks, but it was a lot of fun out there to be racing on 8 places in USB Tour cities across in America. But good thing, all the best moments to come, and I'll have to come back at any time to go enter on hard and ace difficulty as I'm about to be set prior to Motorflix Arena to be entered on USST next. 5 racetracks and 1 Papillon location is about to be set to go by having 2 choices to have either by the normal and endurance to have titles will have to be stationed on specific track layouts. It's all about speed with using Alpha Grand Prix race car, and this will have to go extreme to the max. Just wait folks, and I'll have to make sure if I had to go chose and selected by one of the 5 proto concept race car in AGP discipline. So thank you for enjoying watching the video in the Crew 2 folks. I hope you enjoyed. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel for a like, comment, then click the bell for notification on upcoming content videos if you'd like to see. Follow me on Deepernet Art, Instagram, Twitter, GT Planet, Patreon, Discord, and more social media platforms. Plus, memberships are now open to everyone. We'll join to get access for price levels a month with exclusive perks, custom emoji with my OCs, and many features to support the channel. It's the best way to help out with the super things as an extra will support and grow. I'll be seeing you guys next time in the Crew 2, and I look forward to see you again in the next video. Keep on racing, stay clean.